Tonight's story is called The Little Boy and His Favourite Beetle.
Beetle?
You know, beetle is an insect with usually got a black hard shell, and if it lifts up its shell, it's got wings on it and it can fly. But usually you find them walking along on all fours, somewhere on a shelf or in a cupboard, especially if you look at a garden shed or somewhere like that. Anyway, beetles are insects.
But I was you to kids, and but mommy but I was you to kids, but I saw a beetle in YouTube Kids.
You watched YouTube Kids and you saw a beetle?
In YouTube Kids.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But there was a boy and a girl, and the boy put some beetles on a delicious I don't know what to call now. But when it comes to eat it, he said, "Oh no, you don't like it, your food." He will put it away.
well, I certainly wouldn't eat a beetle, would you?
No.
If I saw a beetle on my cake or my biscuit, I wouldn't eat it.
Mm-mm.
That's so that was a bit naughty to put beetles on somebody's food.
Yes. Flies can fly. Flies are the wings to fly. But first, the little eggs will smell yucky.
Shall I get on with this?
But when they hatch, the flies are not really hatched to open, but more.
When they hatch, the fly eggs turn into maggots.
And then the maggots get the cake, and then inside the eggs there's a maggot. And when they hatch, out came maggots.
The maggots come out.
But then the flies came out.
Yeah, then the maggots turn into, and they make a little case around themselves when they get bigger. They start by eating and eating and eating. When they're big enough, they make a little case, a hard shell, called a chrysalis. And then out of the chrysalis comes a fly.
Yeah. Then you fly in the house. Then you have to kill a fly. Then you must kill a fly.
Exactly. You don't like flies in my house, do I?
Yes. If you see a fly, you must get a fly.
Because if I have a fly in the house, he might lay eggs on my food, and the eggs would hatch into maggots, and the maggots would eat the food, and it's not very nice to look at maggots.
No, but the eggs hatched, then out came the maggots, and then the maggots opened, then the fly came out. And they go in houses.
The maggots, after they've eaten enough, they form a hard shell around their body.
Yes.
And it's like a chrysalis, I think, the shell. And eventually, after a while, inside the shell, it goes through what's called metamorphosis. It changes. Shall we say metamorphosis together? Metamorphosis. They go through metamorphosis. And they change into a fly.
Then out came the fly. Then fly in the house. Then you have to get a fly swatter.
A fly swatter.
And then you must kill fly with fly swatter.
Exactly. I'll swat the fly with the fly swatter.
Yes, the fly swatter for flies.
And that'll be the end of the fly.
Yes. Well, the mummy will be scared. Will be very scared of his children. But, Daddy?
Yes?
I done the poo in the crash when I woke up.
You mean in your pants?
No, when I woke up and I went to poo and allowed to.
Did you know?
Yes.
What did the teacher say?
Well, he didn't say anything, but he just came and wiped my bottom.
She wiped your bottom. It was a girl, wasn't it? Was it a lady who wiped your bottom?
I don't know who it is. Oh, maybe it's Eleanor.
Eleanor, a lady.
A lady sleeps clean my bottom.
Okay.
Daddy?
Yes?
Can you keep tennis story.
Okay, so we were going to tell a story about a beetle. This little boy had found a beetle and he kept it in a tiny matchbox. And every day...
A matchbox with a matchbox look like.
It's very small, and we keep matches in the matchbox, except those are the matches we use to light the fire. When you strike a match, you strike the match and then put it in the fire to light the fire.
Oh.
You've seen me use matches before?
Yes, I must. But they're not allowed to use matches.
Oh no, children are not allowed to use matches.
No.
It's too dangerous.
Too dangerous. But only adults.
Only adults may use matches, because matches are used to make fire.
Yes.
And children might burn themselves, or worse, they might drop the match and it would catch fire. Something would catch fire. So that's why children
And
know.
the feet. Or the toes.
It could get stuck between their toes and burn their toes. Yes.
So children not allowed to use matches.
No, children are not allowed to use matches. It's too dangerous.
Too dangerous. But only adults can do it. But when I go to adult, I can't take the matches.
When you're an adult, you may light fires with matches when you know how to do it.
But
You're too little now.
Yes, I'm too little. But I'm getting big. But when I'm growing, I grow into a little baby and grow into a teenager. But then you grow into an adult.
That's right. We start as a baby, then we become a toddler.
A toddler. Then we became. But we first grow. It's no time me to grow into an adult.
We start off as a
But
baby.
it's a long time I'll be an adult.
It probably seems like a long time to you. I expect to me it'll seem quite
When
quick.
I go to school, I'll be a big. But when I go to school, I'll be a big child. But I'll be still not an adult.
No, you'll start as a baby, then you become a toddler.
Yes.
Then you become a little boy, then you become a big boy, then a teenager.
But then I go. But actually, when I go to school when I'm big.
Yes. And after a teenager, you become an adolescent,
I went to school.
and then you become an adult and you leave school.
Yes, and then I will go to school. I will go to class. I will get work. I will work. But when you see me big and when I'm an adult, Daddy, they're not liking the baby lion. The baby lion called Simba. What's in the
Are you talking about Simba?
Simba?
In the Lion
But
King?
the two lions.
Ah, yes, there's one called Simba, and I've forgotten the other one's name.
Yes, the best friends.
Mm-hmm.
But he only get the adult. But the one don't want to get rid of Timber.
Oh, that's Scar who wants to get rid of Simba, isn't it?
Scar don't want to get rid of Timber.
Simba.
Simba. Scar want to get away Simba, but Scar don't do. But Scar and the good. I forgot his name. Scar with his friends go to the Elf's graveyard where all the Elfs die.
Yes.
But this is the hyenas.
The hyenas.
The hyenas.
Hyena.
But they can't eat the elephants. They eat the axes, but then they found the bones. Then I can't eat bones because it's too hard.
Your bones are hard.
Yes. You can't break them.
No.
But it's way hard to break them.
Yes.
But only way big things can break the bones.
Did you know that your ancestors, that's the Stone Age man who lived in the times of Stone Age when he was wearing bear skins for clothes, used the bones of animals as tools? They could take an animal bone to dig with, or they could take an animal bone to fight with, or they could take an animal bone to do tasks with. For example, they take a small sharp one to do sewing.
And to throw. But if you're gonna fight and you get lost a bone, you throw them to the people, and also the other people throw them to you. And then I have a book called Dinosaurs, and also some burger. I have a book and the book is about dinosaurs all by dinosaurs, but it's not about dinosaurs, but it's a bit, it's a book. I have a book.
It's got dinosaurs in it, but it's got other things about ancient world, like cavemen and how they used to live.
But cavemen are bad.
No, they're not bad. They just lived the way they lived. They had to stay in the cave at night so the bears wouldn't come and eat them, and they'd light a fire by the entrance of the cave to make the wild animals stay away. And when they were hungry, they'd have to go hunting to try and catch wild animals who could run very fast and fight very hard. So it's quite difficult to be a caveman.
Yes, Daddy, can you tell story?
All right, so the little boy with the beetle, he kept his beetle in a matchbox.
A matchbox is dangerous.
That's right. But it didn't have any matches in it. It just had the beetle inside. And every day when he went to bed, he would put his beetle inside the matchbox and wait till the morning, and then he'd go to the creche. And then when he came back from the creche, the first thing he'd do every evening is get the little beetle out of the matchbox and put him on the shelf. And he'd watch the beetle run up and down. And when he got to the end, he'd put his hand in the way so the beetle would have to turn around and go back to the other end. And he enjoyed that little game. But when he'd had enough of the game, he'd put the beetle back in the matchbox and put the matchbox by his bed. And of course, the beetle could not get out of his matchbox.
Why?
Oh yes, I forgot to tell you, to feed the beetle, occasionally he'd give him a few crumbs of a biscuit. You know, beetles don't eat very much. They just wanted a little few crumbs here or there. So he'd give him a few crumbs from his biscuit. He'd eat most of the biscuit and just give him a few crumbs, then shut the matchbox. And in the night, the beetle would eat the crumbs. Now, one day, the little boy decided to go in the garden and play. And while he was in the garden, the cleaning lady came to clean his room. And she saw the matchbox, and she thought, I don't think that matchbox should be here, because little boys are not allowed to play with matches.
But he looked in the matchbox and saw there's a beetle in that box. But there were no matches in it. Because the matchbox was empty. Only there was the beetle.
That's exactly what happened. First of all, she shook the matchbox, and it made a little rattling sound as the beetle went from side to side. And she thought, oh my goodness, maybe there are matches inside. This little boy isn't allowed matches. I better check.
I looked inside, but there were no matches. There was a beetle inside.
So she opened the matchbox, she looked inside, and do you know what she saw?
Yes, a beetle.
A beetle indeed. That's exactly what was inside. Now, the cleaning lady is quite frightened of beetles.
Yes, but it's a friendly beetle.
Might be friendly, but she's still frightened of it. So, when she saw the beetle, she screamed, "Ah!" and she dropped the matchbox with fright. And the matchbox fell on the floor, the beetle fell out and started to run away.
Why?
Well, because the beetle was quite frightened of her too.
Because he was a bit, he's scared of adults.
Yes, of anybody bigger than him. So the beetle ran away, and the clean lady wanted to stamp on him, so she ran after him with her feet going, stamp, 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 but she missed. She couldn't get him, and finally the beetle ran under the bed and hid somewhere under the bed, and she couldn't find him, so she decided to try and get him out with the vacuum cleaner. You know, the vacuum cleaner sucks up the air, like breathing in, and it would suck up a beetle if it found one. And so it sucks up all the dust. So she went with the vacuum cleaner, turned it on full blast. It was sucking up everything. But did it find the beetle? No, it didn't.
Why?
Because the beetle was hiding in a very secret hiding place under the bed.
Where?
Under the headboard.
What headboard look like?
That's the board at the back of your bed, behind your head. It's where your head bangs on the headboard. That's the headboard. And it goes all the way down to the bottom. And at the back, the beetle can hide because he's small enough to get underneath it at the bottom. So it's down there, going straight down like that. And there's a little gap at the bottom there, and he hides under the gap. So the Hoover can't get under that gap. That's why he was safe. Now, when the little boy came back from the garden, he decided to go and look at his beetle.
In the matchbox?
Well, first of all, the matchbox wasn't where he left it. It wasn't beside his bed. So he started to look for the matchbox. And then he saw it. It was on the floor and it was open. Oh no, my matchbox has fallen on the floor, he thought. And he grabbed it, looked inside, and there was nothing inside. It was empty.
But the beetle was gone?
The beetle, as you know, had just run away, was hiding under the under the headboard of the bed.
And can you see the beetle?
He didn't know where it was. So he went to see his mummy, and he said, Mummy, Mummy, my beetle has gone. Well, the mummy didn't like the beetle either, so she said, oh, thank goodness for that. I'm glad to get rid of him. No, you don't understand. I love my beetle, he said. Anyway, his mummy didn't understand. His mummy was quite pleased to get rid of the beetle, because mummies don't like beetles.
But mummy's scared of little things. They're scared of beetles, scared of snakes. Mommy's scared of my snake, my pretend snake.
I know, it's only a toy snake. It's funny to be scared of a toy snake.
I have two pretend snakes.
Yeah, I must say, I find it rather odd to be afraid of a pretend snake. Anyway, shall we finish the story? So the little boy didn't know where his beetle had gone, and his mother was not very sympathetic. She wasn't very sympathetic.
Why?
Because she was glad to get rid of the beetle. So when she heard it was gone, she was quite pleased, really. So even though the boy was in tears and crying about his beetle, his mother wasn't sympathetic. She didn't cry with him. If she was sympathetic, she'd have felt sorry with him, but she wasn't. She didn't really feel enough empathy for the poor little boy. So the little boy then went to tell the cleaning lady, and the cleaning lady said, oh, it's you who put the beetle in the box. Did you do that to frighten me? And the boy said, no, it was my pet beetle. I was looking after him. Where is he? And the cleaning lady said, oh, I'm so sorry. I think I've hoovered him up. She didn't know he was hiding under the bed, because she'd taken the hoover and she had hoovered under the bed, not looking carefully what she was doing because she couldn't see under the bed, and she thought she probably had hoovered up the beetle, vacuumed him up, sucked him up with the suction from the vacuum cleaner. She thought he'd been sucked up into the tube, but he hadn't. He was still hiding. So she said, I'm really sorry. I think I vacuumed him up. And the little boy was so sad, and he cried and he cried, and he went to see his daddy. And he told Daddy, my lovely beetle's gone. The cleaning lady hoovered him up. She sucked him up in the vacuum cleaner.
He did.
And Daddy understood. Daddy was very sad too. He cried with his little boy and empathized with his little boy. Daddy was very sympathetic when he heard all this news. Oh, you poor thing, said Daddy. Perhaps we can find you another beetle. No, said the little boy, I want my beetle. I don't want somebody else's beetle. And Daddy said, but there's lots of beetles in the garden. I'm sure if you look, we can find another one just as nice as the one you lost. No, said the little boy, I want my beetle. I love my beetle. Daddy understood. So they...
Daddy, what is some hair in the bath?
There's some hair in the bath?
Yes, hair.
Now that could mean someone's been in the bath before. Let me have a quick look. What colour is the hair?
Black. Yes.
Then it can't be my hair because my hair's light and your hair's light. Whose hair could it be?
It must be Mommy's hair. Mommy says black.
Well, it could be one of her hairs.
And maybe
How did it get there, I wonder?
I wonder how did it get there. Let me lift for Mommy. If I see one, I will show you this more. I see there's so many hair in the bowl. I don't know how to get rid of them. Like, can you take that in story?
Oh, yes, we'll carry on with the story. So Daddy was quite sympathetic.
Why?
Well, he understood the problem. He understood his son, how he felt. So he felt very sympathetic for his little boy. So Daddy's a light snake. We're scared of them. But the daddies, well, they really, they're not scared of pretend snakes. Oh no, Daddy wouldn't be as frightened of a pretend snake, not of a toy snake. I wouldn't be frightened of it.
Well,
not if it was a toy snake. I wouldn't be frightened at all.
But not a real. He's scared of a real snake.
Well, if it's a real snake, it depends how big it is and if it's poisonous or not. If it's a big one or if it's poisonous, I might be a bit frightened. Although I would say the snake's probably more frightened of me than I am of it.
Daddy, you and me were Mommy and you and Mommy and Daddy and me, the human beings.
Oh, what?
Human beings.
Yes, we're all human beings.
Yes.
We're not animals like dogs and cats and cows.
Also, the other people are human beings.
Yes, other people are human beings. We're not animals like cows and so on. Cows, zebras, and ladybugs, and beetles. There's lots of animals could be animals. That's right. Well, actually, beetles and ladybirds are insects.
Oh,
and ants are insects.
Insects?
Yes. So we have several species, several species. There's the humans, that's you and me and our neighbours and things like that. Then we have the animals, which are cows, dogs, cats, geese, or now, broadly speaking, animals fall into several categories. So we got the mammals. We are mammals. You and I are mammals. Mammals are creatures which give birth to live babies. Then we have rodents, like mice and rats are rodents. Then we have snakes, which are snakes. And then we have lizards. And then we have fish, another type of animal. And then we have birds, which usually got wings.
Daddy.
And we have insects.
Daddy, I had enough of story. Can I get out now?
Yeah, sure.
I want to build I will keep building the railway line.
All right. We'll get out and we'll help build it a bit together, shall we?
Yes, it happens. It's a railway line.
Yeah, but don't walk away. We're going to put your clothes on first. You're not going to get you dry out of the bath. Come here. Here you are. I've got a towel. Well, I think that's going to conclude tonight's story if we've wandered off. Yeah, but usually when we get out of the bath, the first thing we do is get dry, Then we put pyjamas on, and then we do a little bit, okay? Not the other way around. So we do a little bit of railway line after you've got yourself dry.
Daddy, look, this is a very good railway line.
It's going to be, isn't it? Let me rub you dry. Put the towel on your hair and your neck and your face, and get you dry under your arms as well. There we are.
Daddy, this is the railway line. This is the big railway line with lots of pieces.
It is, isn't it?
Daddy?
Yes?
Daddy?
Come here, I'm going to put your pyjamas on in a minute. Oops, there we go.
Oh, Daddy, look. Daddy, should we play the railway line?
It sounds like a great idea. Now, let's get the... Before we do it...
Look.
You know, before we do things, we've got to get your pyjamas on, all right? So here's the pyjama top and
Daddy,
might get your nappy.
This is railway line. When we go to the railway line, we'll take tickets.
Now, before I put the nappy on for the bedtime for the night, would you like to go on the lavatory or not?
No, thank you.
Okay, no thank you. Say thank you with Daddy. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Not thank you. Thank you. Well, put your tongue here like this.
That's it.
Tongue on your teeth at the front. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Good try. It's thank you. Here we are, Eden. That's to remind you. Here we are. Let's put this on. I know you want to play, but I'd like you to put this on first. I'll do the playing while you do that, okay? The car's going around the racing track. Hang on. Okay, put the other one on. Get this in, and then you touch it. And then the car's got stuck on the racing track.
Ignore your friends. If you say, I want to be a gardener.
Right, so now you can play with the car.
Znowu jest z Living Pyjama z from Crash.
Well, am I mistaken? I thought you put that one and said that's for him to wear tonight. Now you're taking it off.
For the in Crash is very dirty.
But you gave it to me, you said he's got to wear that.
It's there.
Okay, I misunderstood. Okay, onto the air again. Okay, we've had a long conversation. I'm going to stop the recording now.